Hello, Miami. This is 05 Sports Now, your home podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will, and we are previewing today FSU versus Miami, a game which will take place on ABC at 3:30 p.m. this upcoming Saturday. And usually I have with me another UM podcaster, right, with me that represents the U or something related to South Florida, but I decided to change this up a bit and have a little balance to the show. So I've brought in an old friend of mine from my teaching days at Southwest Senior High School, Mr. Mike DeArmas. Oh my God, you're wearing that shirt. Oh, Jesus Christ.
You invited an FSU alum on your pod. What'd you think, man? Come on.
Oh yeah. I you know what? I deserve it. I deserve it. I totally deserve it for wearing that, man. So how you been, brother? How's everything going?
Everything's well. Out of education, into real estate now, but huge FSU fan. Definitely been keeping tabs on you guys.
Thanks,
so excited to talk about the game on Saturday.
As well. Well, we'll get into your real estate business, after we talk about FSU versus Miami as well. But first things foremost, I have to ask you, you guys are having a hell of a year. I can't deny it as a Canes fan. You've had some big wins as well, LSU, Clemson, and you've even beaten your adversity. A very grinded out victory against Boston College. You had a couple of years where FSU was the one that Canes fans were making fun of, for a bit. So as an FSU fan in general, how are you feeling?
Yeah, man. So first and foremost, it almost feels like we keep taking turns, right? You guys have your good years and we just got to eat it. And we hate you guys because you're just that much better. And then right now we're the ones on top. And it's almost like you're waiting for the other shoe to fall, right? Like that's kind of the position that we kind of feel like we're in. I'd lie if I told you I didn't feel good about this weekend's game. I think we're in a pretty good place. I think the spread might be a little big. I don't know, 14.5 in a rivalry game. Whenever UM and Florida State get together, it's always fun, and it's never what's scripted, right? One way or another, something's going to happen that's going to be a little off the cuff and something nobody's really expecting. So looking forward to it. I am excited though. I think Mike Norvell's cooking up something special in Tallahassee. And I know you guys have not traveled well this year. You've been on the road only 3 times. You're 1-2, and your one win was against Temple. So I am excited that the game's in Tallahassee and not in the 305. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're absolutely right. As far as we haven't been playing very well, to say the least. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is obviously we're breaking down this week's game, but Florida State and Miami kind of have similar journeys. Like we talked about, we basically take turns. For a few years we suck and they suck. So before I had you on, we talked about the Mark Richt years, how Miami had that nice little 9-win season that could have been 11-1. Like Miami lost some tough games to Notre Dame and North Carolina, basically at the last minute. And then they had a 10-3 stretch with Mark Richt. They had a not so good third year. Then Manny Diaz takes over as well. You guys had Willie Taggart, and that was just a flat out disaster. But when Mike Norvell was hired, I'll be very honest with you, I was like, oh crap, because I liked Mike Norvell from his previous stint at his previous university because he had that program rolling, and I thought he was a very bright coach, as well. The early goings weren't so very good for Mike, similar to what's going on over here with Mara. As a matter of fact, in some cases, you could say it was worse. Okay, because Mike's first season, they were 3-6. They were 61st in offense, 107th in defense. But then you get a gradual improvement. They go 5-7, a horrific loss to Jackson State, but you beat Miami that year. The infamous, I think it was 30-18. Where Manny Diaz pretty much had only rushed 3 in. Jordan Travis beat the coverage. 57 ranked in offense, and then you go up on defense to 65. That's a really good jump, for a team that was in the hundreds the year before. In 2022, though, you shocked the nation, going 10-3, going 10-3. You're 18th in offense, a major jump, and you're 15th in defense as well. So what I wanted to ask you, the first 2 seasons were absolutely atrocious for Mike Norvell. I thought you'd obviously improve. I didn't expect the improvements to be so quickly. What was your fan base? What were you thinking during the first couple years? Was it like he's not the guy, or trust the process? Where were you at? The first couple years of Mike Norvell.
Yeah, so I hate that you brought up the Willie Taggart years. God,
That's why we're
man,
not emphasizing
I
his
thought we were
numbers.
boys. I
We're
thought we
fo-
were boys.
Listen, man. We had Randy Shannon didn't believe in the names in the back of the jersey. Thought that was too egotistical of players, man. So
Yeah,
and
fair,
Al
fair enough,
Golden
fair enough.
and Al Golden that thought Mike D'Onofrio was a good coordinator. So let's get that one out the way. We
Yeah,
had
no,
two, okay.
I got you. I got you. Well, so when Mike Norvell took over, we knew he was taking over a mess, right? Anybody who was watching football and watching Florida State football with any kind of regularity knew that there were so many problems on and off the field. It felt like the focus was never the right thing. Whatever Willie Taggart was talking about in media was the wrong thing. It was just so consistent, right? So when Mike Norvell took over, you knew he was taking over a dumpster fire. So you give them a little bit of credit and a little bit of time, so to speak. There's a little more patience involved. I think the major thing that nobody can deny is what Mike Norvell did, and the reason the turnaround happened so amazingly quickly is he adapted to the times. When the transfer portal opened up,
Yeah.
this man became the king of the transfer portal. He did do his work, and he does his due diligence, and he brings in good recruiting classes. Hopefully now they'll start being great recruiting classes, but he was bringing in solid recruits, but he was spending a lot of time in that transfer portal and bringing in not just anybody, but the right people. Who were the specific high leverage impact players that we needed so that his system, his scheme, his defense could make that huge jump you alluded to. He's always been an offensive mind. He's always had good offensive numbers everywhere he's been. So you kind of knew that was coming. But he really, really just excelled in the transfer portal, and he and his coaching staff, they're bringing in the right talent at the right time for what they need for that specific year. And I think that's why the the rise has, he keeps talking about the climb. The climb has been so steep and so quick.
Yeah. So, but you were patient with him, right? You weren't after the first second year fire the guy. He sucks.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no. I mean, I watched enough football and know the game well enough to know what he took over, and that doesn't happen overnight. You need a little bit of time to kind of get through some of the bad habits that he took over and basically had to remove from the team.
Yeah. In Miami right now, well, because you live here, and I know you follow social media. There's a battle between some of the fan base of Miami. There's we should get rid of Mario. That the crowd that's very impatient, and still wants to relive the 2001 years. And there's the give the guy time years. I'm part of that give the guy time years. As well. The fan base of Florida State is also very passionate. Tallahassee's a big football town. Was the fan base in Tallahassee as you know, as as fiery towards Mike Norvell in a negative fashion, and also in a positive fashion as we're seeing here, or was the fan base at Florida State, would you say, a bit more realistic to what he was taking over?
Yeah, that's a solid question. I would say it was like a cautious optimism type of
Okay.
deal where like people were starting to be like, if we don't see something soon, then he's going to have to go. But it never got to what I mean, especially after that Georgia Tech game. I mean, it was a national story. I mean, it was everybody was talking about, is this the guy that needs to get back to where they want to be? I wouldn't say it ever got to that point in Tallahassee with Norvell.
Okay. Okay. Reason why I ask you that is because also you had a certain former player that at Jackson State that was doing good things at Jackson State. Obviously, we're talking about Deion Sanders, ended up going to Colorado, but the rumor had it that obviously people talk on social media that if Mike Norvell's third year would have been a disaster, Deion Sanders would have taken over for the team. Being a fan of Florida State and so on. Was that the conversation you were hearing, or is that just fans just talking smack?
Yeah, listen, everybody's talking smack, especially this week, right? But
Okay.
you know, Coach Prime, everybody, the rumors were there. I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock. Florida State was struggling. Coach Prime was doing his thing at his previous school, and so the rumor mill was absolutely starting to move. Um, I think if he would have been at Colorado during that time and doing what having some success with that he's having with Colorado and some of the turnaround that we've seen with that particular program, I think the buzz would have been way more like loud. But since it was not quite, Power Five type situation, I would say it was just chatter. It wasn't serious, at least not in the circles I run in.
Okay. I want to talk about Jordan Travis a little bit. Your Heisman Trophy candidate of a quarterback. I'll be very honest with you. I never thought in the beginning Jordan was the guy. I thought he was a good athlete, but not a very good quarterback. At his first couple seasons, even a little bit last year, he was a bit turnover prone. As well. So I wanted to ask you right now. There's a lot of talk about TVD, and TVD. Came into last season as a Heisman Trophy candidate, and the relationship between him and his offensive coordinator didn't quite work very well. And now we're seeing him struggle big time as well, especially the last couple games. Did Jordan ever deal with that, over in Tallahassee, where bench him for the backup quarterback? Because we're football fans. The most popular guy on every football team is the backup quarterback. We're seeing that now with TVD that everybody wants Emory Williams to start against Florida State. Not everyone, but I would say 80% of the fan base wants Emory to start Saturday. I'll be very frank with you. Did Jordan ever experience that over in Tallahassee?
The thing is, so this is not apples to apples, right? So TVD came on the scene, and as a Florida State fan, am I allowed to curse on this show?
You can. You can.
All right. Well, there was hesitation in your voice. I was worried about TVD. I thought TVD was going to be beating our ass for the the foreseeable future. He looked that impressive, right? So when you come in and there are certain expectations because you just set everybody's hair on fire from jump, there's hopes, there's dreams, there's aspirations. People get really excited. So when you don't quite measure up and you're not, and to be fair, I am 100% a Florida State fan, but the guy goes through offensive coordinators the way we go through toilet paper. The poor guy, as soon as he gets comfortable, he's got a new OC, he's got to learn a new system. So I don't 100% fault the guy for what's going on. But that being said, he started off so hot that you just anticipated, well, if he looked like this year one, year two, he's going to make this jump, and year three, he's going to make this jump. And it just, unfortunately for you guys, fortunately for us, it hasn't worked out that way. In terms of the Jordan Travis struggles, we didn't really expect much. This guy was a transfer out of Louisville. Kind of to your point earlier, we didn't know if he was the guy. Who's this kid? Is he a dual threat quarterback? Can he actually throw the ball? Is he just going to run back there? Who is this guy? So when he had his struggles, it was more so like, all right, we're still looking for the guy. You guys thought you had the guy, right? So when you think you have the guy and his performance just doesn't match the expectations, that's real tough for a fan base to swallow. So I kind of I empathize. I don't feel bad, but I empathize because you guys, he looked really good at the beginning, like really good, like top 5 NFL pick good. And unfortunately for it just hasn't panned out.
Yeah, you're right about the coordinators. And since you said you do follow in football, you're right about the coordinators. It's true. He's had three different, actually one, two, I'm trying, between 3 or 4 offensive coordinators. He had Dan Enos. Well, he was recruited by Dan Enos. He didn't have Dan Enos. He had Rhett Lashley, then Josh Gaddis, and now he has Shannon Dawson, right, as well. The thing is, he had a really good start to the season. He had 4 games in which he played, as well.
Who'd you play?
What? Huh?
Who'd you play?
Well, A&M is a really good team.
That's fair.
Yeah, A&M is a really, really good team, and I think that was his best game of the season, even better than he had against Miami, Ohio, as well. So that's a very good football team. What do you think? I mean, one of the things that we're talking about here is that he just doesn't see zone coverage very well. In zone coverage very well. Is that what you're seeing as well, or is it something else with TVD? And I have my perspectives too, and I'll share with them after your answer.
Yeah, it doesn't feel physical, right? It 100% feels like he's not seeing the field well. His decision making is very suspect. There are frequent times I'll be watching a UM game that I'm just like, what are you doing? How if I can see it, and I'm not a quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, how do you consistently make the wrong decision? And then I'm not a big troll. That's not really my style. But I do follow Florida State social media, and there are a lot of trolls out there. And so you do get to see all these Monday morning quarterbacks that are just constantly highlighting, well, this guy was wide open, or that guy was
Yeah.
wide open, or how did he throw into double coverage here when so it's just he's just not seeing the field well. And to me, that goes back to your preparation. Now, whether that's an OC situation or his personal preparation, I don't know. I'm not close enough to the team to know better. But in my eyes, he's just not seeing the field very well.
Yeah, I also think I'll be very frank with you, and I hope I don't get in trouble with anybody that goes to university, that watches the show. You'd be surprised. But I also think that the noise outside the locker room is starting to get to him a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because one of the biggest criticisms of TVD, which I don't think was a big deal because the guy was productive, is that he keeps throwing to one single guy all the time. He's a one read guy. Xavier Restrepo's his guy, but Xavier Restrepo gets the job done. And one of the interceptions that he threw in against Virginia when he underthrew the football, it was to Xavier. Although if he would have led him, Xavier either gets in the end zone or it's deep in opponent territory. Mark Fletcher and Brashard Smith were immensely wide open, as well. Last game, which was not very good against NC State, it was horrific, to be honest with you. I think it was his worst game of the year, to be honest with you. He barely targeted Xavier Restrepo. He kept targeting everybody else, so I think that there might be some of the outside noise. Even though he doesn't show it, he's kind of stoic out on the sidelines, which bothers a lot of the media people and the fan base. I do think that some of the stuff, the outside noise may get to him. You're a former athlete. Is that a possibility? When you're dealing with yourself being a former athlete and dealing with young kids, he's a coach as well. You coach basketball. Is that a possibility, or am I over exaggerating or over analyzing the situation?
No, I mean it could definitely be there. I think I would take it a step further, right? He busts on the scene, and all of a sudden he's projected as a top 5 NFL pick, right? So he also is thinking, he's better than he is, or he can do more. They're telling me I only target one guy. Watch me now, right? Like that type of attitude could be getting into his head a little bit. I'm glad you brought up Restrepo. I am worried as hell about that guy. You guys, when you have these little slot guys, these Braxton Berrios, man, they give FSU fits. So I'm really interested in that particular matchup on Saturday because we have a hard time with these little slot guys. They give us headaches every single time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it never bothered me when he targeted him because he was getting the job done. I mean, when you're averaging 12 yards per catch, I don't think that's a problem, especially if he's catching, if he was dropping it or if he was, if he wasn't hustling to a football, that I would understand, but it wasn't hurting your team. It hurt your team against Virginia because it stalled a drive. It did stall a drive, and that's pretty much it. But for the most part, it really didn't bother me all that much. So now that we're talking about the Canes, I have to ask you now. You said it's true, a 15-point. Miami is 15-point underdog. Last year, we only scored 3 points at home to FSU. I do think Miami's offensive line and running game and defense are much better than what you faced last year. Okay, so I understand, you being cautious, optimistic won't be a 15-point game. But from your perspective, what does Miami have to do? What does Miami have to do to beat Florida State?
Yeah, Bane's going to have to be who Bane has been this year. He's going to have to get after Travis. He's going to have to make Travis uncomfortable, but he can't let Travis break contain, right? You got to keep him in the pocket, don't let him get outside and start using his feet. When Jordan starts to get outside the pocket and move around, he's dangerous as hell. He really just makes the right play, and he's, we want to classify these guys, right? Oh, he's a quarterback. He's a football player. Jordan Travis is a football player, and he's, the leader of the offense, and he absolutely, when he's going good, these guys are really tough. Hopefully Keon and Johnny Wilson are back in the fold this week for us at the wide receiver spot. If we have our full load of weapons, Bane's going to have to be special in my eyes. I think FSU's secondary, statistically they're doing well, but I've watched every snap. They don't pass my eye test. There are definitely going to be some opportunities if TVD if the right TVD shows up, it almost feels like he plays bipolar, so to speak. But if the right TVD shows up, I think you guys are going to have some opportunities to make some plays down the field. It's just whether you guys are actually going to be able to execute. I think the saving grace for Florida State is the games in Tallahassee. We've sold out every single game. Our fans show up and they show out. It's going to be a loud, raucous type environment in that place. And you guys have looked like a different team on the road in the games that I've watched. Just you haven't traveled well. And so I think that potentially could be the difference in the game. I don't think it'll be a 15-point game. I think 10 max, but I could absolutely see this being a one-score game.
Yeah. Speaking of going on the road and TVD, there's been, like I said, like I told you earlier, there's been a call to have him, benched, for Emory Williams, Ja'Cory Brown, or a combination of both. Listen, man, I'll be very frank with you. If you're going to do that, I'd rather have done it last week against NC State, because NC State's offense is an offense that if you score 14 points and your defense the way it's playing, you're probably going to beat NC State. So if you're going to throw Emory into the fire, that's a better game to throw him into the fire. I'm just, and I hope the fan base hears me out. Here's my perspective. Those are like hardcore get bench DVD, and I have a few people that have been on the show that say that, and they want to try something different. But I think that putting a true freshman out there in such an environment in a rivalry game like that, I'm not sold on it unless Tyler Van Dyke again, wets the bed, per se. I really don't think it's a good idea to put Emory Williams, out there against Florida State. What's your take on my perspective?
Yeah, Jared Verse has been a bomb waiting to go off this season. He just hasn't had the big breakout moment, and something tells me this week is the week for that. If you put a freshman out there and Jared Verse is playing at his optimal level, he's in trouble. Like, this guy's going to put tons of pressure on you. And then I don't know how much Florida State football you've watched, but we got to transfer this guy Fisk, works in the middle of our defensive line. That puts pressure right up in your face. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't always get to the quarterback, but he pushes the line literally right up into the quarterback's face. If you guys can't get your running game, I know you got a couple of running backs that are averaging, 6.5 and 5.5 a carry. If you guys don't get the running game going, it's going to be a long game. Then we will cover. I think that's going to be the key to getting your offense moving. Is if we can pin our ears back and our pass rush can just go, it's going to be a long, long day for Miami.
Yeah, I agree. I think the running game.
I wouldn't throw the freshman out there.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. Like I said, unless TVD's really bad, like he's NC State bad, then what do you have to lose? Give the kids some experience. You're down 14-3. What do you have to lose? You at least throw Florida. A little bit of tough with the blue background here. Having then you can make the wrinkle with Ja'Cory or try Emory. But if your running game is doing really well, or TVD could kind of hopefully get one-on-one coverage, which is what TVD's good at. He's not good at zone, but he'll kill you at one-on-one, which is what Texas A&M played this past season. Then you could have a different ball game. But if the running game isn't going, you're down 14-3, then I think you make the switch, just to give the kid a chance. But as of right now, I just don't think it's a good idea at this moment to throw in a freshman. You want to do that next week against Louisville, then that's fine. You're at home, it's your crowd, and then you get your feet wet and you play Boston College. But against Florida State, like you said, a crowd that shows up, shows out, a game where emotions are incredibly high, on both sides. I think that throwing out a freshman is not a good idea.
Yeah, I wonder how your locker room would even react to that, right? Like, what message is Mario sending the team if he puts the freshman out there? Do they believe in the freshman enough that they're like, all right, finally we got our guy, let's roll? Yeah. Or is it like, oh man, this guy's playing for next year already? I don't know how your team might react to that.
Yeah, well, they like him. Like, they really like Emory. I know they like TVD because players have stood up for him. Like Xavier Streppel basically said he is still the same guy that threw for 400 yards last year. But they like Emory, and Emory's a bit more of a verbal leader, while TVD's more, he's more laid back, stoic, as like I told you. Emory's more like the in your face. You run your route harder. my bad. You should have gone out. You should have gone out. That's what, instead of in. He's more that guy. So I do like him, especially when he beat Clemson. When he had to make the right throws, he made the right throws, and the team rallied around him. So that was a good thing. So I do like him. So if he does make the switch, I don't think it'll hurt team morale so much. The players kind of get it. The offense is struggling, so they need a bit of a boost, an opportunity. But my thing is more like perception. Like, perception is like, well, this kid's out. It's Florida State. It's just not the environment to throw out a true freshman. That's just my take on it. And I get it. You have to make a change, but unless TVD is horrific, I don't think you should make that change. I think you should, I think you should wait maybe until the following week if TVD's bad. But if you're in that game, I think you should just play him. That's just me. I've never seen a true freshman succeed against a team like Florida State. There's going to be some growing pains in the middle of the game, and you're still playing for something at the University of Miami. At least, maybe not for the ACC championship, but you're playing for a better bowl, a better bowl situation. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the way college football is right now, you're playing to keep your recruits,
100%,
as well.
100%.
And that's very important.
Game next week. You guys got Louisville coming in next week too, right? So I mean, there's things to build towards. You guys still have plenty of season left to play.
Yeah, again, I think the ACC championship game is already done because we have 3 losses. They're both in conference, but again, a better bowl, and again, the recruits, especially the offensive side, could be like, oh, this is what they're building towards, and so on. So that's something that I think you have to take the consideration, as well.
Don't forget who you're playing this week. You're playing the king of the transfer portal. The transfer portal, baby. There could be some guys wearing orange and green this week that might look real good in garnet and gold next year.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Mr. Bain, come on over. We got you.
I think his uncle Torbert will smack him if he ever shows up in garnet and gold.
That's a big ass kid to smack. I don't know.
Have you seen Tolbert? He doesn't look like a softie either.
Have you seen Bain?
Yes. The guy's got Oakwoods, man, for legs, bro. He's freaking huge, man. Yeah. And can't believe he's only 18. He's only 18 years old.
He's impressive. He really is.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's Miami's next great defensive end for sure. He knew what he was getting into. He knew that they're in a rebuilding phase, so I think he gets it. Plus, his side of the ball is not the problem. He's very well coached, and he's got Jason Taylor coaching him. His side of the ball is not the problem. Is the other side is what people are worried about. And again, it's just the quarterback. The wide receivers have played well this year. They've really gone up a bit. The running game looks better. The O-line has been dominant, including against very good opponents like Texas A&M, Clemson as well. So the only thing that I think Miami needs to worry about is the quarterback. But again, if you're a wide receiver, who is going to be throwing to me next year, and so on. So that's something that, like I said, you're still playing to keep those recruits, because nowadays it's a sales pitch, man. No one stays committed.
100%. You're right.
No one stays committed. Even at top schools.
It's a one year agreement. That's it.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, Joe. I forgot what he responded with, but Joe Rose asked Mario Cristobal, "Isn't it tough recruiting and then having to recruit your own players?" No,
that's got to be exhausting, man.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely, it absolutely is. Mike, all right, real estate, man. Right, tell us a little about your real estate business, bro. How's that going?
It's going great. Market in South Florida is booming. So staying real busy. Working with buyers, sellers, just enjoying. I really enjoy the negotiation. You said it, former educator, like to educate my clients, former athlete, very competitive. So when it gets into negotiations, I really like to feel like my client won the negotiation. So it kind of lends itself to real estate. I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. Where can my listeners find you, as far as if they want to reach you?
Appreciate that. Guys, follow me on Instagram at Mike D Realty, MikeEDEE Realty. Appreciate that.
No, of course, not a problem. Right. So if you're selling your home or looking to buy a home or looking for a rental, find Mike DeArmas, man. Trust me, he'll get you a good deal. All right. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. All right. You're a good sport, even for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much.
So I don't get to come back next week after the game?
Oh, you want to? Yeah, man. No, hey, fair game.
We'll play it by ear. How about that?
Yeah,
I'll hit you up on Saturday.
I'm actually be out of town this upcoming weekend. But yeah, when I get back for sure, we'll do a little post game. I'm working on something else with another guy, as well as who's a Kane YouTuber. So I'll have you both on. It should be fun.
I'm just giving you a hard time, brother. Do your
brother.
thing.
It's not a hard time.
By the way, love the show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Think you're doing really great things. Love that you cover all different things in South Florida.
Thanks, man.
So great job. Keep grinding.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And let me tell you, man, I love doing this, bro. You have to give me a hard time. I will have you back on.
Sounds good, my man.
I will have you back on. All right.
Anytime.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for Mr. DeArmas. That's it for me. If you like what you heard, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. Once again, I am Will. Stay safe. God bless you soon. Go Canes. All about the you. Bye-bye, guys. No, bye.